Hi there to your viewers of Equinoxe television. It's time for the news and you're all welcome. We begin right away with our major stories. Teachers in Cameroon joined their counterparts the world over to commemorate the 28th edition of the World Teachers' Day today. The day has been commemorated in Cameroon amid several difficulties faced by teachers in Cameroon. Those difficulties range from poor working conditions to deplorable living conditions. And we'll be telling you more about the commemoration of the World Teachers' Day in this newscast. Still in the news, we will be taking you to the Douala 5 area where several bars, hotels and snacks have been shut down by the subdivisional officer for Douala 5, Asongwe Donatus. We will be coming back to that in this edition of the news. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. We begin this newscast with this very important element. Teachers in Cameroon today joined others the world over to commemorate the 28th edition of the World Teachers' Day. The teachers are complaining of difficult working conditions and deplorable living conditions. Our reporter Lucy Asiana tells us more about the challenges faced by our teachers in Cameroon.
Despite all government promises to ameliorate the teaching conditions of teachers in Cameroon, teachers are not yet convinced. They say they are living in deteriorating conditions and they have unpaid salaries.
We have difficulties like limited amount of salary with too much work, especially with those that are working in the private sector. You are forced to work for long hours of days without enough salary. You are paid little, but you are forced to work for long. They encounter difficulties from children who come with evil spirit and even attack. So all those things are the difficulties some of us face.
The president of the trade union in charge of workers of private schools in Cameroon, Nyomok Luke, says there is a need to top up the budget used for education in Cameroon.
We ask government to improve the budget allocated to education. We need it. If government allocated a budget in level of our need, we can have a good education.
According to a note published by UNESCO, there is an unprecedented number of teachers leaving the profession, and the number of students studying to become teachers is dropping dramatically. Teachers also complain that the disruption of COVID-19 pandemic led to the loss of teachers, which has greatly created a gap in the profession. The 28th edition of the World Teachers' Day is on the theme "The transformation of education begins with teachers."
And now we take you to the southwest region in Limbe to meet David Sidmaimo, who tells us that because of the Anglophone crisis, several educational institutions in Limbe and the southwest region in general have been neglected or abandoned. He now tells us how the World Teachers' Day is going on in Limbe.
1 month into the 2022-2023 academic year, Government Bilingual High School, GBHS Limbe, is said to have a plethora of issues affecting the teaching and learning process of the institution. The principal, Elive Elizabeth Leonga, made the revelation during a visit of some ex-students of the institution.
We also have the need for benches. If the ex-students can assist us with benches, that will be very much welcome. Because the growing population due to the influx of persons in Limbe, the internally displaced persons, we have a lot of pressure. They keep coming, so at times we have problems of accommodation and even sitting spaces for the children.
The ex-students donated trash cans, disinfectants and hand sanitizers to help improve on the hygiene and sanitation situation of the school.
We thought it wise to get back to where it all started, GBHS Limbe. Come back to the school which molded us and gave us the necessary tools to forge ahead, to see how we can help the school and maybe talk with the younger ones who are still there on how they too can become better people tomorrow, and why not join in the global force of ex-students which we are trying to put in place.
The principal assured the Yaoundé ex-students chapter the gesture shall be put into use judiciously.
It falls in line with the clean school policy of the Minister of Secondary Education. We have the physically clean school, the morally clean school, the intellectually clean school. Here we see that this is going to reinforce the physical cleanliness of the school.
Like most schools in Fako Division, GBHS school land has been encroached by individuals with alleged complicity with some top state authorities.
And now still talking about the abandoned or dilapidated states of schools across the country from Limbe, we take you to Loom in the Mungo Division, where the government primary school, Sanda Omaro, is said to have been abandoned for several months now. Our reporter Innocent Azet tells us that the local population is begging the authorities that be to renovate the government primary school in Loom. His report.
A section of government's primary school Sanda Umaru in Lumungo division of the Litowa region, now occupied by goats. These goats find the environment suitable for them. So because the school is surrounded by white vegetation, taking a look at the school infrastructure, even a goat will understand it does not suit human habitation.
Though they open, can't people they can't enter for inside the school, they sleep for them.
Some classrooms are without rooftops, even those with have scary ceilings and perforated roof sheets.
Dans les salles de classe, nous ne sommes pas à l'aise. Quand il pleut, ça mouille les cahiers.
Nearby residents say they are now insecure as they now have bandits as neighbors.
So we will be neighbors, so in the world with plenty people, they come for it, they come aggressive people, then they go sleep now for inside the school.
According to locals, it is a shame to have such a horrible looking school in the town of Loum. Many people are forced to send their children to private schools.
Ça ne fait vraiment pas honneur avec tous les élites que nous avons.
The school does not resemble one which has educated great people in the Mungo division. Financial constraint is advanced as a factor impeding renovation envisaged. Theophile Sobdom, director of the school, pleads on the mayor of Loum to come to the aid of the PTA.
Dans la situation de ces gros œuvres-là.
The school authority promised renovation works will begin as soon as they have gotten the required budget. While waiting, the teaching and learning process goes on in the hostile school premises.
Still in education, in higher education, this time around we take you to Marwa, where the University of Marwa has been suffering from insufficient classrooms. Recently, some buildings were offered the university by and our reporter Immaculate Fogwe tells us that it is going to go a long way to assist the students at studying very well in class. Let's now have her report.
Private homes transformed into classrooms so as to enable students study in a comfortable environment. In response to infrastructural constraints faced by the University of Marwa, occupants of these houses had to willingly relocate for the buildings to be used for the teaching and learning process. The University of Marwa is progressing. During the 2020-2021 academic year, we had about 32,000 students. We moved to 36,000 students in 2021-2022. We have been informed that over 4,000 students have already registered. Buildings that were previously harboring workers of the Marwa Mora Road construction project have equally been transformed into classrooms. This camp will help our students a lot. It will go a long way to apply the instructions received to make the school great. 4,000 students have already enrolled out of a total of 50,000 students expected in the institution this academic year.
And now to the Douala 5 municipality here in Douala, where several hotels and snack bars have been sealed or shut down by the divisional officer for the Douala 5 area, Dr. Asongwe Kletus. Our reporter Smart Njika Gabriel tells us that the operation is going to last 1 month.
It was an unannounced visit that the divisional officer of Douala 5 subdivision made to some hotel and motel infrastructures within his area of jurisdiction. The move is coming at a time when the level of insecurity is on the rise in Douala and Douala 5 subdivision in particular.
We realized in the past days that so many criminals, some who come from foreign countries, lodge in hotel facilities in Douala 5 subdivision and go unidentified. Most of these hotels and inns, cottages, they operate in illegality. Most of them do not even have authorization to create. They receive people of doubtful morality, lodge them for days, and without identifying them. The promoters of these establishments have also been identified, and in the days ahead, they will be presented to the State Council for proper justice to be meted.
It's alleged that the criminals who killed a gendarme officer recently in Douala used a non-registered hotel in Douala 5 subdivision as their hideout.
We all learned about the murder, the assassination of a gendarme who was after a criminal. It was proven that those criminals lodged in hotel establishments in Douala 5. And when we went down to do investigation in those hotels, it was proven that they actually lodged there, but they were not identified, which means that these hotels act in complicity with these criminals. And so we cannot allow that to go unpunished.
On day one of Operation Shutdown Hotels and Motels without authorization, about 6 were sealed. The divisional officer calls for the collaboration of the inhabitants of Douala 5 subdivision in this exercise.
A call for all the population to help us to fight criminality. Economic operators operating in this domain should follow the way of justice, follow the rules and regulations, collaborate, denounce, and if not, let us know at every moment the kind of persons lodged in their structures that will permit us to follow criminals, track them, and bring back serenity in the subdivision.
The operation aimed at sealing illegal hotels and motels will go on for a period of 1 month, and it has as a goal to reduce the rate of insecurity within Douala 5 subdivision.
And now we talk health. The population of Bafia in the central region has been called upon to stop the commercialization and consumption of roadside drugs. The call was made by the senior divisional officer for the Mbam and Enugu division. There he seized and destroyed several quantity of roadside drugs. Let's now have more with our reporter, Glory Mala.
These are packets of fake medications and bags of hard drugs seized by the Senior Divisional Officer of the Mbam and Enugu Division of the Central Region.
We have also seized and put out of circulation a lot of illegal drugs that are being sold on the road and not in pharmacies. And we are going to, the commission that is in charge is going to destroy these drugs in the days ahead.
This is following an operation launched by the Gendarmerie Brigade of Bafia headed by Commander Beyala Steve. The illegal sale and the consumption of these fake medication and hard drugs puts the people at risk. The operation, they say, had 2 objectives, notably to fight against insecurity and to fight for the preservation of the health of the local population.
We want to take this opportunity to assure our population that the forces of law and order are there at their disposal to ensure that they live in peace and in security.
The senior divisional officer used the opportunity to call on the population to report any suspected case of drug consumption and the sale of fake medication.
And now we go back to Limbe to talk about tourism, where the local population of the Limbe 2 municipality is disgruntled because of a dispute with the authorities concerning a piece of land accommodating a hotel. The people say it is the reason because of the Anglophone crisis, the tourism sector has been neglected in Limbe. Let's now have more once again with our reporter Davidson Maimon.
The once famous state-owned My 6 beach in Limbe 2 subdivision, Fako division of the Southwest region, whose operation was shut down some years back, and the situation further compounded by the Anglophone crisis that almost crumbled the tourism sector in this part of the country, has been the center of a squabble between two parties, Maxine Investment and Neptune Group, all claiming to have secured authorization from the state to revive, develop and manage the beach. The situation degenerated after one party is alleged to have brought talks and destroys the property of the other at the beach. The matter was dragged to the administrative court and judgment passed.
They are giving us security because we are not here illegally. They have our documents. They know that we have legal documents to develop this place. That's why they are here. We are law-abiding citizens. We are not here for any problem. So anybody that is trying to stop this development is an enemy to the people. It's an enemy to the state. It doesn't matter who you are.
In their numbers, the indigenous youth of Limbe stormed the beach. That development should not be hindered, and the victor of the judgment should be allowed to develop the area.
We want development in our town. We want My 6 beach to be developed. Limbe is a touristic site. People will come here, money will come from this area.
Going per the decentralization text, the Limbe City and the Limbe 2 Council respectively have entered into an agreement with Maxine Investment to put an end to the fighting, as the beach is a source of income to both local councils.
You know, when they collect revenues, they will work roads, farm to market roads, all such.
Work at the once famous My 6 beach, which was a source of employment and financial empowerment to the locals and the council, is said shall commence in the days ahead.
And that was it for the news. Thank you, viewers, for always being there. But don't go away. We will be meeting our guest in just a moment, so stay with us. Welcome back. Today we are talking about the world's 28th edition of the World Teachers Day, which is being commemorated across the world and also in Cameroon today. And as our guest tonight, we are receiving Mr. Ndiu Emmanuel. He is a teacher and a civil society actor. Good evening, Mr. Ndiu, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We begin right away with this question. You are a teacher, and today you're commemorating also the World Teachers Day. What is the significance of the World Teachers Day to you as a teacher?
Thank you very much, and greetings to all the viewers of Talking Point and the Equinoxe family in general. It is true that I'm a teacher, but then before I come to your question, I also double here in the capacity of the Secretary General of New Era Youth for Africa, that is represented in almost all 4 African countries concretely, and that also has to do with education as part of the objectives.
And Mr. Ndiwom, we now take you to our very second question. You have been expressing worries about the situation of teachers in Cameroon. Do you think teachers have really been given their rightful place in the country?
But normal that it's some people call it celebrating Teachers Day. Maybe in other countries the story could be different, and that permits them to use the word celebration. But in my own dear fatherland, Cameroon, I want to think that we need to be very conscious and very careful the way we use the words when it comes to celebrating such days. I would have personally loved that the Ministry of Basic, Secondary and Higher Education gives a different word that could replace the word celebration. Of course, you are a journalist, I'm a teacher, I'm a father. What Cameroonian teachers go through does not permit them to use the word celebration. I want to think such a day should be a very good day for them to be mourning. In fact, I am even shocked and surprised that you see some people, they wear dresses, they go to the streets, they say they are celebrating Teachers Day. As a good teacher, you need to take stock. And if you fail to take stock and you take negative stock, I mean, you have failed to teach her in the right direction. Why do I say so? In the context of Cameroon, We all know that if we were to start by defining the theme of this year's Teachers' Day celebration, of which I would prefer to put the word celebration in quotes, it says the transformation of education begins with the transformation of a teacher. And I'm asking the ministries in charge of education in Cameroon, how far have you people gone in transforming your own teachers before you think that your teachers can transform education in Cameroon? That's the greatest question. Because we have all seen in Cameroon, the teacher is the last category of person that is respected in this triangle called Cameroon. A minister in Cameroon has the right to withhold the salary of teachers. If you are just a commandant in this country, you have the right to go into a school, you slap a teacher, you ask a teacher to sit on the floor for the on the pretext that maybe the teacher got your child punished. Of which, if we were to look at it biblically, we are even taught in that holy book that you do not spare the rod to spoil the child. But in the context of Cameroon, teachers have been reduced to toys in the hands of those who have the means, whereas they have forgotten to know that whether you are a president, whether you are going to moon and you are coming back, whether you are capable of creating another universe to replace the earth in which we live in, you went through a teacher. So I think it is time for teachers to actually have a rethink. Instead of saying celebration of Teachers' Day, they should call it Morning of Teachers' Day, so that from that appellation, their senses can come back to them. And maybe they can start looking at the right direction, because as of now, a Cameroonian teacher should be ashamed out of this triangle to present him or herself as a teacher, because the draconian treatment that is reserved for the Cameroonian teacher is not found anywhere in the world. I underline, is not found anywhere in the world. Go to Chad, go to Congo, go to Gabon. Why am I talking about these nearby countries? There are countries that have a lot of difficulties in terms of political stability and even in their economy. Yet, they have struggled to create an atmosphere for a teacher to feel at least comfortable. Now, to transform a child or to transform education means that your mind should be at peace. You cannot tell us that we have to, that transformation of education begins from a teacher, whereas you in your own country has failed to transform your teachers.
And now, Mr. Ntiwum, in other words, you're trying to explain to us that teachers are not well treated in Cameroon. They are faced with poor living conditions and also poor salary situation. Can you situate the place of the teacher in our context?
We all know that if you go to private schools in Cameroon, you will discover that there are schools that still pay teachers 35,000 francs. There are schools that still pay teachers 60,000 francs. I mean, that is a treatment that is reserved for non-humans, I must say. And if you come back to look at the conditions of this pay, the timing, you discover that in some schools that the government has failed. Of course, I have always agreed that we are in a failed state like Cameroon, because a lot of things, nothing normal is done in Cameroon. What is done normally somewhere is done abnormally in Cameroon. When you see a country that is dying, one of the indicators of a dying nation is when the educational sector has been abandoned. And in Cameroon, it has been abandoned. It has become a business. It has been abandoned to private individuals. They discuss the minimums, the mean salary they give to people. They decipher when to sack them. If you want to rise, you will be sacked. Then the government has failed to come in as the regulator, which is the role of the state to regulate the private sector. Now, I limit it to the educational sector because, fortunately, that is where I'm found. Now, other sectors are limping and suffering the same malaise. But then, since we are talking about the educational sector, what explains the fact that in Cameroon, a single individual has the right to own schools up to 4 annex with exorbitant school fees, registration and re-registration by the peoples and old peoples of the same institution. Yet, the government doesn't put an eye on that. Yet the government doesn't see into it that those who try to raise this money, who are the teachers, those who try to raise this money, who are the teachers, are well paid. Now, it goes back to the fact that the Cameroon government has abandoned this sector. Now, let's go over to the official sector, which is the government sector. You discover that teacher training colleges are littered everywhere in Cameroon. Yet, people come from there, they finally died without ever being integrated. You saw the case of Amadou, who died up north. That was a government teacher. Even after you are integrated, you go for donkey years without salary. You will end up dying without having a salary. Whereas we have a group of unscrupulous people who sit in Yaoundé in air conditioner offices. They are doing practically nothing, but they are paying triple the amount of what a highest paid teacher receives in Cameroon in the name of a salary. Now, the government has contributed and participated so well in the maltreatment of teachers in Cameroon, because if the government sector was showing something, if the government sector could show an example, let's say you leave ENS, of course they will not show an example, because we know how it all happens. They know that they have auctioned some posts, some number of entries to the professional schools. So when you enter there, you come back, you can even desert the field, you go do your business. Of course, you are a teacher. So the fault should be squarely placed on the government of Cameroon. And I think when we take the risk to come here, it is not just to criticize them, but it is to give them a wake-up call so that they should know that if they are on vacancy, they need to come back.
Okay. And now, Mr. Emmanuel, we cannot talk about World Teachers' Day or education in Cameroon without going to the northwest and the southwest regions. So we notice that local authorities have been encouraging parents to send their children to school despite the security situation, which we all know it is not very secure to send our children to school, considering all what had been going on, all what had happened to students in Kumba, in Limbe, in Bamenda and stuff. Parents being encouraged to send their children to school despite the security situation in the northwest and the southwest regions. What's your take on that as a teacher?
I once said, and I will repeat, any authority, everybody wants that school should go. Authorities want that school should go. That's a nice thing. I personally want that school should go. That's a nice thing. But I've been asking the authority, how many of their children are schooling in Ozo, in Northwest and Southwest? The Minister of Territorial Administration, I said some time ago, and I think there is need for these people to take their children, send them to Northwest to be schooling there. The Minister of Secondary Education, she comes from the Restive region. All of them will be happy. We will be happy to bear the risk together, so that when we see our children and their children enjoying the same scenario in Northwest and Southwest, I think all of us will know that they have a genuine intention to see the children going to school. Now, before I give you back the microphone, there's another thing that people forget to question. They are asking children to go to school, whereas they themselves sneak into Northwest in armor cars and sneak back to Yaoundé in armor cars. We saw the Prime Minister some time ago hiding like a chicken behind a car in Babajo. Why? Gunshots. I have often also proposed, if our kids in Northwest and Southwest must go back to school, let every child be provided a bulletproof, be provided a security member behind that child, because education is a right, but the right to live is paramount. Now it goes back to the parents. If you choose to send your child to school and secure the child's and secure the child's life, that is very fine by me. It is even 100+% for me. But remember, a living child is better than a living illiterate is better than a dead child who died going to school.
Very well. Before the UNESCO instituted the World Teachers' Day because of the importance of teachers in the society, and we are talking the case of the Northwest and the Southwest. You're telling us that if students or pupils are not secured enough, they shouldn't go to school. don't you think it's going to produce a bunch of illiterates in the northwest and the southwest in the long run?
In 40 years of ruling a country, at one point you choose to produce illiterates, you should assume it. It is not in my power to say what should be done for the children to go back to school. We have been telling them for 6 years, declare a ceasefire, call people for a talk. You know, wars always end where they ought to have begun, the round table. We will keep saying it. In pedagogy, they say repetition is the mother of pedagogy. And in the Cameroon parlance and their politics, we will say that repetition to the regime in Yaoundé is the highest thing should be done. Guns will never solve a problem. You call people terrorists. We are not terrorists. We are Anglophones. And these terrorists that you are talking about using guns can kill all of them, but guns will never kill terrorism. So do the right thing. Call these people, talk with them, negotiate. Of course, we have seen the Cameroon state negotiated with the dreaded Boko Haram up now. I mean, we have somebody just of blessed memory whose family was taken ransom, kidnapped. The government negotiated. It was not a hidden agenda. All of us were behind, and we appreciated the government at that time for negotiating for their release. Now it is the time for them to listen to us, negotiate in our way and some way. Because I will keep assuring you, no matter how you shoot for the next 100 years, shooting will not kill the problem that is there. The problem that is there is even in the spirit of the Anglophones. You can kill all of them, but the spirit will not have been killed. And again, to think that the problem affects all the northwest and southwest is a lie. It is affecting the whole of Cameroon because they are littered all everywhere. There are even people who live in the city who are not fighters, but they are fighters in their spirit.
And now, Mr. Ntiwum, I might want to know from you. We know that teaching or the teaching profession is that profession that makes every other profession possible. There is no profession that exists without teachers or teaching. What encouraging words can you give to your pals out there?
Like I said in my intro, it is worth mourning. If you are a rightful teacher and you are doing the right job that a teacher is supposed to be doing in the field in Cameroon, it means you are feeling the pain that a teacher is supposed to feel, and so you should be given the right treat. To that effect, I think it should be given a different name. If they are afraid to use the word World Teachers Mourning Day in Cameroon context, they should look for a softer word and then use it so that maybe it will draw the attention of the authorities that be. A teacher in Cameroon, a rack, a tissue paper in Cameroon is being respected more than a teacher. It's only in Cameroon that you teach. A parent slaps you, a policeman slaps you. I mean, a sous-prefect a Jew slaps you and goes free. Laws in Cameroon applies maybe to any other person, even to a common businessman, but the Cameroonian teacher has been pushed to the roadside. That is why our respect is not given, because those who are supposed to respect us, whom we gave them the wisdom, the knowledge that they are using today to rule the country, has refused to respect us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ntiwum, for being our guest today on the World Teachers Day. But like I was saying a while ago, if you would have some words for your pals, teachers out there, because you guys are the ones who make every other profession possible.
The special advice I'll give them is that those who endure ends up as the winners. Those of you who feel the pain and do not have the means to talk, we will keep doing the talking for you, and with the hope that better days are coming ahead. If you are a teacher, do your job with love. Treat any child you come across as your own child. The payment of a teacher will not come from a government. It will not come from a parent. It will come from God, because God himself was the first teacher.
Thank you once again for being our guest tonight, and we wish all the teachers out there a happy Teachers Day. And viewers, we thank you so much for having accorded your time this evening for us on the news. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Our programs continue. Equinoxe Soir comes up at exactly 7 p.m. Bye-bye for now.